Welcome to the Daily Vibecasting. Today, we are diving deep into the AI infrastructure arms race. It starts with a massive Meta and Scale AI deal, a $14.8 billion signal. We're also tracking the race to silent supersonic flight and 1.2 megawatt trucking, analyzing how an AI cloned typeform in 35 minutes, and unpacking the social cynicism driven by massive government fraud. We've gone through the entire raw news wire, and our mission is to give you the deep insights, the context, and those second-order effects you need.
It was a chaotic day for sure, right at the end of the quarter. And it felt like it was less about new gadgets and more about these enormous foundational investments happening just beneath the surface. The signals are just crystal clear. The game is now about owning the data pipeline, the infrastructure, because that's what controls everything.
Okay, let's unpack that, starting with the biggest headline, the one that really defined the market this year. The lead story is this immense validation of Scale AI. They just posted on @ScaleAI, new era loaded.
So simple, so confident.
Exactly, and it's all about that transformative 2025 deal. Meta is putting in $14.8 billion for a 49% stake. It's the biggest signal yet that the major players will pay almost anything for a reliable data partner.
And what's fascinating to me here is how much of Scale AI's success is tied directly to public sector work. That gives this whole valuation a completely different flavor.
Right.
The context confirms it. Their highest revenue quarter ever in Q4.
Yeah.
And they pulled in, what, $94 million from government contracts alone?
Yeah, $94 million. And that's on top of collecting nearly 50 billion hours of robotics data for their private clients. And crucially, the deal isn't just money. Alexander Wang, the founder, is joining Meta's leadership to accelerate their model training.
Which tells you everything.
It does. It suggests Meta sees Scale not just as some high-priced vendor, but as a core internalized part of their own moat.
Okay, the confidence is undeniable, but we have to move straight to the second-order effects of this. Does this deal, which basically consolidates critical data infrastructure under one private roof, heavily backed by public funds, does it centralize too much power?
That's the question for competitors.
It's the core issue. If Scale is now effectively Meta's data arm, where does everyone else go? For the same quality, the same volume of labeled data, this could make high-quality data way more expensive and much harder to get for anyone outside that, Microsoft OpenAI world.
So regulatory scrutiny feels inevitable.
It has to be. When a company's success is so tied to government and military AI contracts, a deal this big becomes a target. We're watching what is basically critical national infrastructure, the data supply get consolidated outside of direct government ownership.
Right. When the competition is this intense, these deals stop looking like acquisitions and start looking like monopolies in the making.
Absolutely. The price of playing the AI game has just been set. $15 billion. Minimal.
Okay, so from the infrastructure of data, let's talk about the infrastructure of logistics, physical power. We're moving to the road. The push for electric trucking. Tesla Semi Megacharger results are flashing green over at Tesla Semi. Engineers hit a breakthrough 1.2 megawatt charging rate.
1,206 kilowatts on the dash. I saw that. It's a massive power density achievement.
So what does that mean in practical terms?
Theoretically, it means a 70% battery refill in under 30 minutes. And that 30-minute stop, that's the magic number. That's what you need for real fleet adoption, so drivers can stay within their mandated rest stops.
But the hype is always followed by skepticism from the community, right? And we saw some context on this from @SawyerMerritt. He confirmed the redesigned Semi specs, that 15% efficiency improvement, but the critique is about the range.
Of course it is. The advertised 500-mile range. That likely assumes a 100% to 0% cycle, which is just, it kills battery health. No professional fleet manager would ever do that.
So what's the real number?
The practical range, using the recommended 80% to 20% levels, is closer to 300 miles, about 5 hours of driving. And while 1.2 megawatts is phenomenal, fleet managers are still asking, is it enough? If that charger isn't there, the truck is just dead weight.
That ground infrastructure challenge takes us to the skies. Urban air mobility. Joby Aviation, according to their handle @Joby Aviation, is wrapping up 2025 with some major milestones. First, piloted wing transition flights.
The vertical lift to fixed-wing flight. That's the hard part.
They've flown over 9,000 miles in testing. But you always say the tech is only half the battle.
Because it is. Joby's been aggressively securing the infrastructure deals. Agreements with Uber, operational plans for Dubai, the Osaka Expo. It signals that commercialization in 2026 isn't just a pipe dream, it's a funded plan.
But the really high-stakes payoff, the one that could change global travel, is coming from NASA. We saw the celebration from at Nasarero after the maiden flight of their quiet supersonic X-59.
Yeah, the Quest mission. This is about reshaping the shock waves from breaking the sound barrier. The goal is to turn that deafening sonic boom into just a gentle thump. And if they prove that's viable, it could force the FAA to revive commercial supersonic flight over land, something that's been banned since 1973. Imagine that.
From physical infrastructure to the pure software layer, let's dive into agentic AI. Nader Dabit, over at Dabit3, showed just how disruptive these agents can be. He used Claude Opus 4.5 to basically clone Typeform.
In 35 minutes.
35 minutes.
We called it OpenForm, built it with Next.js, Supabase, Cloudflare R2, and this is a direct, immediate threat to what I call expensive but simple SaaS companies.
Their whole value prop is charging premium fees for these, simple tools, and the promise here is a product that's 100 times cheaper. That's an existential threat.
But hang on, let's be analysts here. We have to challenge the hype. For a form builder to actually work for a business, you need more than a nice UI. You need industrial-grade spam prevention, CRM integrations, compliance.
All the boring, hard stuff.
All the boring, hard, and legally necessary stuff. So is this a finished product? No. It's a brilliant proof of concept. It exposes a huge vulnerability, but the incumbents are still selling robustness.
And this is already changing expectations for engineers. Ben Awad at Ben Awad said that by 2026, the expectation is that AI tools like Cursor will write the majority of code. Engineers will just be supervisors.
That narrative is everywhere. But we have to look at the actual data. The METR study from July 2025 showed that AI tools slow down experienced developers.
Wait, slower? By how much?
By 19%. It seems totally counterintuitive, but it forces them into these new, complex debugging patterns.
Well, they're spending more time verifying the AI's code than just writing it themselves.
Exactly. They don't have the internal context of how it was created. So the big question is this post-manual coding era actually making us more efficient right now, or is it just a different kind of complexity we have to adapt to?
Speaking of complexity, let's talk about the underlying theory. Fields Medal winner Terence Tao, referenced by @SlowDeveloper, made a fascinating point. He said the math behind LLM training linear algebra calculus is actually pretty basic.
Yeah, any math undergrad could grasp the mechanics. But the real mystery, as Tao puts it, is the black box. We have no predictive theory for why a model works on one task and then just fails catastrophically on another. We're relying purely on experimentation, trial and error.
So our engineering has just completely outpaced our scientific understanding.
Profoundly.
Okay, so if the theory is playing catch-up, where are the applications taking us right now? Two big frontiers popped up today. First, AGI Mobile. DivGarg, @DivGarg, announced it. It's being styled as what Siri was meant to be.
Which is a big claim, but it's significant because it's on-device. That means low latency, privacy, and autonomy. It's designed to use any app on your phone to book an Uber, shop, whatever, all autonomously. It's what the market has been demanding.
And the second frontier, 3D world models. A designer at X-Architect showed off a tiny 15-megabyte Gaussian splat 3D model generated from a single mid-journey image, and it runs smoothly on the web.
And Gaussian splatting is the key here. It's a super efficient way to render photorealistic scenes from minimal data. This lines up perfectly with the prediction that 2026 will be the year for interactive 3D world models, taking a single image and turning it into a playable prototype.
Okay, let's shift gears completely. Let's get into culture, cynicism, and the human side of all this data. And we have to start with a source of deep public cynicism. Elon Musk, at Elon Musk, shared that video critiquing the Minnesota daycare fraud scandal. It's the one where networks allegedly siphoned millions in subsidies, leading the previous administration to freeze about $185 million in funds.
And the broader context here is that growing feeling. The critique links this fraud to concepts like Brazil's Jeitinho culture. It's this systemic acceptance of cheating that, when it scales up, just erodes public faith. People stop believing that honest work is rewarded.
And it creates this huge disillusionment with tax-funded systems.
Right. Accountability seems impossible when the numbers get that big.
So we need a counter-narrative, a massive project that's actually delivering positive global infrastructure. And Starlink provides it. Starlink announced they activated in over 35 new markets this year. They're in 155-plus countries now, with over 9 million active customers.
And this is the exact opposite of institutional corruption. ITU reports show that satellite broadband is the most powerful tool we have right now for closing global digital inequality. They project this could boost GDP by 1 to 2% in these underserved nations. That's the ripple effect you want to see.
Finally, let's talk about the culture of success. specifically contrarian success. The story about how Figma CEO Dylan Field got into the Thiel Fellowship, cited by @Sorcery, is a perfect example of this.
Right. The fellowship is famous for picking people who just think differently. They picked Field based on two things. First, he flatly refused to give them his SAT scores, said they were irrelevant.
And second,
When they asked for something he believed that no one else did, he said, chocolate is disgusting.
wow, that's bold.
It's the definition of independent thinking. It shows a willingness to reject convention. And that's exactly what venture capital is looking for. It's why he created a company with, what, $750 billion in potential value?
And just to wrap the developer culture vibe, we have to mention the productivity hack from @TCAT. They forked the ghosty terminal to run Subway Surfers as a background.
Utterly whimsical. It's the technical equivalent of doodling in a high-stakes meeting.
Yeah.
It just speaks to that developer affinity for playful tweaks.
That brings us to the close. We covered the Scale AI and Meta deal, that $14.8 billion signal in the AI arms race. We debated Tesla hitting that 1.2 megawatt charging rate, even with the skepticism around range. And we analyzed the agentic AI takeover, from the Typeform clone to the contradictions in developer efficiency.
Okay, so a prediction for tomorrow. Given the speed of AI cloning we just saw with Claude and the debut of autonomous on-device agents like AGI Mobile, we predict the next major market shakeout will be announced in the low-cost, high-subscription B2C SaaS space. Specifically, any company built on simple forms, scheduling, or basic data collection is about to see their entire pricing model collapse under the pressure from instant AI-generated open-source alternatives.
A compelling and actionable prediction. Thank you for diving deep with us. We'll catch you next time for the next deep dive into the raw news wire.